Hello and welcome to Phantom Plays FTB. This is my house. Let me give you a quick tour. This is going to be the magic room. It is currently just an empty room with my bed in it. Upstairs is the front door. That's someone else's house. It looks a lot better than mine. Look at my house. That's my mailbox. Upstairs is Holly's room. Well, he has a corner where he can put his bed. I don't really have a room either, so. And this is the library. And upstairs is the watchtower, which I can show you around the little bit of land here. We got our cow pen. It used to be right here, but the cows are too loud, so I moved them over there. And then down there is our henequen, which is a special kind of fibrous plant that makes string. Corn. Corn is good. And you can cook it, so you can cook the seeds and the corn, so you can get double food. You make popcorn and corn on the cob. And we got some wheat, got some more wheat. There's one more crop that we could have, and that's flax, which also makes string, but well, let's just say that my robots didn't like it, and we'll get to that sometime, I'm sure. And that right there is the rubber tree farm, which is a pretty much solid grid of rubber trees, and back there's the oak. But the thing about this rubber tree farm is that my robots can actually harvest it in the grid. And there's a little bit of sugarcane right there. I should probably automate the sugarcane. My goal right now of FTB, which is the whole reason why you play this game, is for all the technology and the new features, which I'm about to show you. So far you haven't really seen anything too new other than maybe the corn. But downstairs this is going to start being totally different if you're not familiar with FTB. This is the storeroom. These are iron chests. Notice these are double wide wooden chests, which are familiar to you, I'm sure. If you open them, that's how big they are. But an iron chest, look, it only takes up one block, and look, it's the same size as a wooden chest. Fantastic. You can keep upgrading these through the other metals. For example, back here is a golden one. It's even bigger. So, all of these chests along the walls here, each one has a purpose. And I try to label them, but they're a little bit out of date, the labels. For example, this is the gems, where they will go, and so forth. And you're like, okay, big deal. You do that all the time in any other kind of Minecraft. And okay, so you have iron chests, big whoop. Well, here's the thing. This is the input chest. I put something in here, and then I turn around here and I turn it on. These two things are called redstone engines. I like to refer to them as pumps. And what happens is that it will each one will pump one item out. So since there's two of them going at once, it's going to take two at a time. So notice the two sticks will disappear right now. See? And what happens is it goes and it basically comes and sorts it. See? And it goes really fast because these gold pipes accelerate the items around. But each of these diamond pipes basically have logic gates in them. So the blue is if wheat passes through this piece right here, wheat absolutely has to go through the blue, which means goes into this chest. All the chests have sorting built into the back of them. And what this allows us to do is not have to worry about filing things away. There's even more complication stuff going on, because if you notice, this goes down and then it comes back up. And I have a room below here that actually does some other kinds of sorting. But basically, all the items have to touch each of the back of the chest to make sure that they all get sorted, and it looks for the one that it matches. And if it gets to the end of the line, which is this gold chest, it'll appear here. So at least we can catch the items if they can't get sorted. And you just notice a piece of wood just went into this chest here, and there they are. Now, not all items in the game I have here accounted for. There's just not enough room. Each diamond only allows you to sort about, I think this is how many is that? It's 9 items. It's just not enough to have all the different items in this game. They've added so many items in FTB that there's just no way. No way. So that's, of course, again, why I have the catch at the end. So let's see. Let's talk about some other things that are new with my little base here. What we have is 3 inputs here which have the same kind of mechanic as back here. They just have these pumps that are pumping items out, which these switch trigger. And you can notice down there you can see the little pump. So this was the pulverizer input. If I have an item that I want to have pulverized, I put it in here, flip the switch on so it pumps it out, and when the chest is empty I should turn the switch off. Now, sometime in the future we're going to get rid of all these switches and have automatic detectors that detect the presence of items in the chests that will just turn the pump on or the redstone engine on when the time comes. But for now we have the switches because they're the easiest to make. I mean, literally it's just a stick and a piece of cobble. The auto cooker. If you want to have something get cooked, you put it in there and it'll send it down to the cooking array. And finally, fuel. So let's talk about the fuel. Basically the whole base runs off of two, which are here, which are actually called generators. Burns coal and it creates power. And these are power cables. And this is where you put the coal in. As you can see, I put the coal right there, and then I flip it on if this runs out. But it's not going to, because I have actually a factory nearby that actually creates coal. So this is a surplus in here in case something happens. And these are my machines. We'll get to that in a second. It's getting nighttime. I'm going to go to sleep real quick because I absolutely do not want any creepers spawning outside. So 1 second while I take a quick nap. I'm awake, I'm refreshed. So, basically, these two things generate power. There's a little buffer here, so some extra power can get stored. This means that the coal's being burned right now. This is coal coke. It's powerful, powerful stuff. And it takes a really long time to burn, and it produces a lot of power for what it's worth. So let's follow the electricity here. Both of these generators output electricity, and it goes up to this thing right here, which is the bat box, which also has a huge buffer. Down here is my semi-fluid generator, which burns my oil. And we could follow that in a little bit, and you can see where my oil comes from. But basically, all power, this is the out. So it goes this way. So all power has to go through the bat box. So all the 3 generators, 1, 2, and the semi-fluid one is what I create my power with. And it goes through there. The back of these machines are connected to some electrical cables. I have everything pretty much covered, so it, you know, you don't have to see all the clutter. But let's talk about these machines real quick. These are electric furnaces, which are pretty much exactly like a normal furnace, except it uses electricity. This little icon here will disappear when it has no power, and it won't work. This is a plate building machine, which is a slightly different mod, so it has the Greg Tech logo, and these buttons, I'm never quite sure what they do, but I don't touch them. And it just takes a piece of an iron bar or whatever and turns it into a plate, which some machines require. That's all it does. It needs electricity though. And this machine down here is the compressor, and certain things you can compress, and at the moment I'm not sure what we can compress. And the last thing is the extractor, the last machine I have, and that will extract elements. Certain elements can be extracted. And there's tons of little machines that you can work with that do various things, which you'll need to use in order to make more advanced machines. Which, basically, it's just an endless struggle of making everything in the game. So let's talk about the auto cooker and the pulverizer and what happens when this chest sends the items downstairs. So let me put that in here. That should get sorted. And let's put this there as well. Alright, let's leave it on. Alright, let's go downstairs. Downstairs here. So right back there is where the items come down. If you notice that one of those bars just came through. And in a second another one will be coming through. There it is. Boom. So what happens is that things that come down, it will check to see if it needs to be pulverized. So it just checks to see if it's one of these. If it's lead, gold ore, iron ore, copper ore, tin ore, and silver ore. If it's one of those, it will go downstairs, and it will come across here and go, there's a feedback loop back here, which is right down there actually. And what this does is it will basically queue up items to go into the pulverizer, into the blue slot here. And if the pulverizer is currently working on one type of ore, the other ores will wait in this circle, just keep going around and around and around until it empties it out, and then the next one can come in. Back there is an electric engine, which produces heat for the pulverizer, and that's connected to the electrical grid. So that I have one of those cables coming down. You can't really see it, I have it all covered. But let's take a peek. See, I have one of those electrical cables attached to the electric generator back there, because that's powered from electricity. And again, I need to have a detector here that will turn that on when something's present in here, or when the energy's low. And I right now have to flip it on, and if I leave it on, it'll just keep wasting energy. Once something's pulverized, it turns it into dust. This ore here, when it gets pulverized, it will be split into 2 dust, and then the dust comes over here and it goes through all these electric furnaces and it cooks them. 1 dust equals 1 bar. 1 ore equals 2 dust. That means by pulverizing it, you get 2 bars per ore. Traditionally, you only get 1 bar per ore. So this basically doubles the yield. Very, very, very useful. Additionally, the pulverizer outputs a secondary byproduct some of the time. For example, copper sometimes will output some gold, so sometimes you even get a bonus item. Anyway, this idea is the same idea as this feedback loop, is the items will loop through here, keep looping, and if there's room in a furnace, it will drop down and start cooking. And in the back here, you'll notice that these pumps will pump the items out and send it up to this main pipe here, which sends it back upstairs to the sorting. Now, let's say that it wasn't a pulverizer. It goes through there, and then it does the cook check, which basically just bypasses the pulverizer and goes right into the to cook to the furnace. So, what do we put into the cook check? We put corn to cook it, beef, sticky resin, rubber. This one is corn again. The reason I had to put corn here is because there's 2 of them, and I don't want an item to go down there by accident. So anyway, once the things in here get cooked, they go back, just as I said, up and through. So the cook chest upstairs brings it down right there. So there's 3 entries into this cook array. You can have the cook check send it in there, the pulverizer can sit in there, or that chest can sit in there. Upstairs, we have the pulverizer chest, which sends it down into here, or this right here can sit into the pulverizer. So there's 2 ways of putting things into the pulverizer. Yep, so this is all about automation. This thing over here is kind of connected to the system right there. Its output goes into this, so it can go upstairs and get sorted. But what is this? The input is manual. I have to put the item right here myself. And what is this for? Well, this is how I make charcoal. I put wood, full logs, in here, and then it will send it around, and the logs will appear in the top and in the bottom. And if you have a log on the top and in the bottom of a furnace, it will create charcoal. And then the charcoal gets pumped out the back and it gets sent upstairs to get sorted. Why do I do this with normal iron furnaces and not stone furnaces? Because iron furnaces have a little bit more efficiency. Why don't I use an electric furnace? Well, that's redundant. Why would I waste electricity to create energy? So this is a non-electrical way of creating some fuel with a surplus of tree logs. That's the purpose of this. And it's here because I had some extra room right there, and it can connect. Anyway, that's it for down here. Fantastic. So, how much charcoal has my machine made? Not too much, 42. But I need to cut more trees. Holly loves finding mushrooms, and they always grow. So let's put them in the sorter. Okay. And they will automatically get sorted, I believe, right here. So if we just wait a couple seconds, you'll see that 4 turn to a 6. Now I know I could have just come over here and moved it here myself, but I wanted to show you that when you fill this chest up with various items, you can just let it sort it all day long. Don't worry about it. Okay, so now let's talk about the oil and where the coal comes from for the furnaces, that coal coke. Basically, when normal coal comes through the sorting, and it will be pushed right there down that pipe, and the result will come back up this pipe. Let's go talk about what happens there. Basically, those 2 pipes I just described are right here. Black one and the gray one. Now I have the gray one disconnected because I want all the coal coke to go into the furnaces up here. I don't want any of it to be stored. Well, and I also have some extra in there too, so it's okay. So let's talk about where the black pipe goes, the coal. This gold pipe accelerates it so it can go real fast, and it will go all the way down here to my little factory over here that creates the oil and the coal coke. So the coal comes up here and gets put in this feedback kind of loop thing, which will touch the ovens, and if the oven empties out a slot, one will drop down, and both of them are connected to the loop. So what happens is that it will cook one very slowly, and as a byproduct of this cooking, it creates a piece of coal coke and the oil. Now the oil should be pumping out. There should be no oil in the machine, but we're full. We're backed up. We have this whole pipe is full of oil, and the tank, which is supposed to hold the surplus oil, is full. For each of these lines equals a bucket. So that's quite a bit of oil. That's why we have extra oil. See? Down here it pumps the oil out of the bottom of the tank, and we also pump out with, see, those are waterproof pipes, so it knows to take liquid. And these are not waterproof, so it knows to take the coal coke. Coal coke gets sent back along the gray pipe that we talked about just a second ago, right there, and coal coke goes back. Oil goes back as well. But yeah, this is backing up because we need to burn more oil. We need to burn more shit. Basically, we're not using enough energy. Let's take on the American approach. Have a surplus oil, so let's burn more shit. What I'm going to do is remove the coal from the furnaces, and I'm going to have all the coal empty into that chest so we can burn the oil for the power for now instead of the coal coke. So what I did here is I made a wrench, and I basically, if you like right click on certain pipes, the iron ones especially, it will turn them. So right now I turned it so the stuff will leave the loop and head up to this chest. And I just want to empty out the loop. I think it's emptied, so I'm going to flip it back around to the right direction. It's hard to see what you're doing, but that I think is the right direction. See? I'm just flipping the solid colors. So this direction here means that these are basically the ends for this version. I think a later version they actually reverse it, which is really confusing. That means stuff can go in here and come in from this direction, but it goes out the clear way. If you flip it this way, it means stuff goes in this way, comes in this way, and it goes up, which I think is the way we want it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the last bit of my... Oh, it's nighttime, go to sleep. So that will conclude the episode of the tour of my house. Next time, we will be working on a machine, maybe? Who knows? But make sure you tune in next time for more of my FTB adventures. Please subscribe and like this video if you had some fun or learned something. And feel free to leave me a comment of any questions or what you thought was cool. Bye!